This week we have a special episode from the Financial Modeling World Cup. So the event was really amazing. Arena was electric. Giles created a song for the Financial Modeling World Cup. Played it on stage, ESPN, everything.
At one point, I'm handing out the check to the winner of $1 million for the winner of the FMWC. The main thing that's going to be learning, training in a very fun and exciting way.
Next, we're going to chat with this year's world champion, Michael Jarman.
Luckily, the first round really suited me. The first 5 minutes was just like a blur of just everything that you thought you knew about spreadsheets, you just sort of forgot because, you're there and the limelight is all quite new for most of us.
And now you're in a room with 1,000 people who are all just as geeky as us.
This is an Excel competition. That was electric in there.
I can't imagine what they must be thinking right now. Being up there with the noise and the excitement.
It's great to be part of that because you can feel that here, every single person here, talking about their problems. We were trying to solve some problem from this random girl over here.
Loved having them on this episode and visiting with them in Vegas. Hope to see you next year at the Financial Modeling World Cup. Please come join us.
Who's going to win? It's the Excel World Championship. Who's going in the spreadsheet?
Welcome to Financial Modelers Corner, where we discuss the art and science of financial modeling with your host, Paul Barnhurst. Financial Modelers Corner is sponsored by Financial Modeling Institute.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Financial Modelers Corner. I'm your host, Paul Barnhurst, aka the FP&A guy. The Financial Modelers Corner brings you the art and science of financial modeling with distinguished guests around the globe. This week we have a special episode from the Financial Modeling World Cup, an event everyone should attend at least once if they get the chance. It really is unique. But before we jump into the episode, I want to thank my sponsor, the Financial Modeling Institute. FMI offers the most respected accreditations in financial modeling. That's why I did the Advanced Financial Modeler, and I'm a better financial modeler for it. And you should look to do it too. All right, let's jump into the episode. I was in Vegas for several days. It started out with a road trip before that. Giles Male, the self-proclaimed most humble MVP in the world, well, he said, hey, let's make a road trip to Vegas. So he flew into Salt Lake. We spent the day seeing fluffy cows, having a little bit of fun, making bread, all kinds of unique things. Then Oz, Mr. Excel, Mr. Power Query, we love Oz Day Soleil. He came up and we did a road trip together down to Vegas. That will be on Giles' channel, The Road to Vegas. He's creating a video for that. So we'll share that when it's available. But today what I want to do is I want to go through several different clips that I received from Vegas. I have a number of different guests. And before I jump into that, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the event. So the event was really amazing. The arena was electric, starting with the arena. Again, going back to Giles. Giles created a song. He made all the lyrics for the Financial Modeling World Cup. And after we took a song and played it on stage, ESPN, everything. So I'm going to go ahead here and play a short little clip of it. You'll also notice the music in our trailers and kind of throughout the episode where it makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and roll about a 40-second clip. Let you listen to a little music.
Everyone seems to know the score. They've seen Andrew do it all before. They just know, they're so sure. But Dim is here to even the score. It's the Excel World Championship. Who is going to win? It's the Excel World Championship. Who's going in the spreadsheet bin?
Wasn't that some fun music? You could find the whole song out on Giles' LinkedIn, I believe. You can see it if you want. Alrighty, some other things. Michael Jarman won the event. He's from the UK, and then he currently lives in Canada. He came in first this year in the Excel Esports. The college competition was a guy by the name of Benjamin Weber. He came in first. And then we also had the team competition as well. And so it was amazing to watch all these different people. In addition to the Excel Esports, which is the logic, what you see on TV, there's also a financial modeling competition that goes on throughout the year. And they awarded Dim Early the first place for that, for the work he did on the financial model. A few other things I'll say is the event has 2.5 days chock full of training, and we'll have some different people who presented at it. We had things such as dynamic arrays, Power Query, dashboards, Copilot, Python, and so much more. World-class people were providing training. If you get the opportunity to attend, I highly recommend it. The networking, the training, and then the event. Yours truly, I competed, had a little bit of fun. Competing, didn't do very well in the last dance, but I did it because I was there for the experience. And I'd love to compete more. If you want to get better at Excel, attend the training, compete in these events. It's a great way to improve your skills and to really become an expert at Excel. I also managed to fall asleep. You'll get to see an image of that. So I encourage you, if you can, to watch the video of this episode. You can also listen to audio. But there are some fun little images throughout it with the trailer and the event. What happened is it was the first night, the semis, really tired. I'd been talking to some people, sat down for a minute, started to fall asleep. I'd only been asleep a couple minutes. And of course, Katrina on stage that works for FMWC caught a picture of it and sent it to everybody in the event with me snoring. So they're probably the most embarrassing moment. All right, on to the clips we have for you today. First one is going to be Andrew. Andrew is from Latvia, and he is the founder of the Financial Modeling World Cup. Andrew G. A great guy. We'll have him roll as our first interview, so we're going to go ahead and roll that clip. All right. Super excited here for this next guest. I have the founder of the Financial Modeling World Cup, a master financial modeler, super smart guy coming to us today, Andrew. And I'm going to let Andrew say his last name because I seem to always butcher it.
Yeah, it's Grigolyunovich. Andrew Grigolyunovich. As easy as that. Grigolyunovich.
Got it. I'll get there on that one. I'm going to get it. Yeah, I go with Andrew. So we're going to start by asking some questions about your trip you just got back from Vegas. So, I know you run, like I said, the Financial Modeling World Cup, been running that for a couple of years. How did you originally get involved? I know you used to compete. How did you get involved in the modeling competitions?
Yeah, I mean, I have like a 20-year plus background in finance. So I've been doing financial modeling back since the days it was not even called like financial modeling. I first encountered this term maybe in early 2010s. But my first models were created in 2001. So that's when I started to learn Excel, learn finance, graduated from the school, got my CFA charter. And yeah, also got a good job right from the start. Latvia was an emerging country back then, and you could really get high. At the age of 21, just thanks to my good education, Western type education, I was able to get a CFO position in a large company with retail company, 70 locations, so several hundred people working there. And I was one of two candidates out of several hundreds who were able to put together a three-way statement model. So that kind of was, and the whole country was very young by that. Like our biggest bank was run by a bunch of 25-year-olds. So, and they did it actually. So, and at one point, so by 2010, I founded my own consulting company. I was doing the outsourced CFO consulting, budget modeling, like a lot of modeling work for companies here in Latvia and also in the United States and across the world, mostly United States. And by that time, I've started to take part in the model of competition that was the predecessor, if you'd like, of the Financial World Cup. So that was an amazing competition for the players. So you can solve, lots of interesting, challenging tasks and learn on your way. But it has, the drawbacks were that you basically had it only once a year. So there were like 2 stages per year and finals after that. I made it finals twice, finished 5th in the 2017 competition in the world, but that was, way too little for me. And also that was not streamed. The format was maybe not as exciting for the viewers. You didn't have the crowds and the arenas and stuff. And I really wanted this to be like bigger, more exciting, really this to be an esport. So when at one point the previous owners of this competition have sold this to the new owners, and the new owners have rent once and then discontinued, I really saw that it's going to be a good time to start my own and do it better, bigger, more frequently, with all the adjustments and the improvements. Because when we started the Financial Modeling World Cup, we've introduced the solution models to the case studies. We've introduced the transparent ranking system so that you see how many points you have scored, and everybody has scored. It was not there in Modelov, and lots of other nice things. So yeah, I was a player that wanted to have more and bigger and better competitions. Then now we have the competitions, but I'm not a player anymore.
Yeah, hard to be a player when you're building cases and running the whole thing. That might be an issue if you build a case and then you're a player.
Yeah, it's also a different mindset, honestly. Like when I get a case, I kind of see that I'm trying to solve it like very carefully, very slowly, not to lose any detail, which is not what you want to do when you have only 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's a totally different mindset when you're under the pressure of a stage, especially, and you can speak to this, right? The events where you have a knockout, where every 5 minutes the lowest score is going out. Not only do you have to be fast, but you got to put points on the board. You can't try to solve it all at once and then just put the points at the end.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's an amazing format. Like, it's a very tough format for the players, but it's such an exciting format for the viewers. So we've discussed that with some of the participants in Vegas, and yeah, they admitted that, yeah, it's tough, it's grueling, it's difficult, but we understand that it's really fun for the viewers and for the TV. So,
and you have to balance both. Everybody kind of gets that. So I'm curious, obviously you took over as when Modeloff died and started this and have built it into something bigger, but what's your ultimate goal? Where do you see this going in the future? Like, say 5 years from now, what would you want to see this look like?
Yeah, I definitely see it bigger and more exciting and involving even more people. I don't like, every time in my life I'm trying to plan something like, hey, in 1 year I'm going to be here, or in 5 years I'm going to be here. I reach those numbers, but that typically happens like a bit later. Like, yeah, so I wouldn't say like it's an exact 5 years. Maybe it's faster, maybe it's slower, but I totally see that. Like, even right from the start, I was saying that like my vision is that at one point I'm handing out the check to the winner of $1 million for the winner of the FMWC. And that's going to mean that these are crowds, these are big arenas, because like you need to get quite some sponsorship interest so that you have that type of sponsorship money. You have many more players, you have many more viewers, and that's an exciting, like a much more exciting thing. So honestly, at this point, I totally see we could be making a tour similar like in the PGA Tour or ATP Tour in tennis or golf tennis. Like, we have, different tournaments across different parts of the world. You can play, take part, educate yourself at the same time, also earn some money. And I see that I was a bit hesitant at one point that like, do we really want to get like very big prize money so that the top talent gets drawn out of the economy? But then in a recent conversation, actually, somebody persuaded me that, yeah, actually it's not a big deal, because like you will maybe draw, I don't know, like 5 or 10 people out of the economy, the real economy, right? But at the same time, you're going to make all the others so good or so better thanks to the, like attraction to that and their learning skills. That's going to be the overall effect to the economy would be like very, very positive. So
sure, yeah, and I get it. Just like, there's some people that have been drawn to poker, now they play full time, or other esports. And so I get what you're saying, drawing them out of maybe the modeling or financial economy where they've decided full time to train for this. But at the same time, if you get 10 times as many people to participate, or 20, or whatever it needs to be to raise those type of sponsorships, a lot more people are learning better skills than they would without the experience.
Exactly.
But yeah, I can see both sides of it. See where you have to look at it on the overall, yes, this should be beneficial, but I could get that concern.
Yeah, and also we're going to be improving the skills across the globe, because we see that like through this competition, many people from countries that's let's say are not having as easy access to, let's say, US type education or US way of formatting models. They can very easily get and understand what's required there and improve the modeling skills at home. That's exactly what happened to me back in 2016, 2017 when I was a player for Modelov. And this is what we're giving back to the community at this point as well.
I've heard from so many people like Dim Early, right? He commented on my podcast, in my first episodes. I asked him, being a world champion, what that's done for you. And he goes, from a recognition standpoint, not really anything. People don't be like, hey, there's so-and-so, like they would do with the Michael Jordan. But he goes, from a work standpoint of being much better at building models, it's been tremendously valuable. And I've had others say similar things that it just makes them much better excel. I mean, I've only done a couple cases, just been busy building my business and haven't dedicated the time. But even from just doing a few, I can see how much it will help to just study it. And it's a great way to learn and practice cases. I mean, there's obviously other ways you can get really good, but it's a great way out there. So I really like that. I'm curious, for the whole competition, from the week in Vegas, do you have a favorite memory, something that really stuck out to you? Like just kind of that moment you're like, wow, this is really happening.
Probably like one of the moments was like, there's a lot of different like moving parts in this thing, and especially in the arena, and probably at one point towards the finals, when we kind of understood that, okay, all the technical glitches are all caught up and we're going to have smooth finals and everything looks good. That was like factor. And that was what kind of I remember. Another thing that basically every time I saw Enos, our COO, who's the main person responsible for the tech setup, every time I saw him on the arena, that meant that something's going wrong. So there is a fire already. And by that time, he came into the room. I have this, the awkward face expression, like, "Hey, what happened again?" He said, "No, I think all is good." I said, "Okay, wow, that's the feeling." So, yeah. And probably my very favorite part of the whole thing is when, the whole thing is over. The finalists, like the cameras are off, and now you know that, well, right now it's officially done, sealed, and you can go celebrate.
Yeah, and I know there was plenty of celebrating going on. I know a lot of people stayed up all night, just visiting and celebrating the moment. So that was fun to watch.
So for those who have not been there, I have to admit that it was all very, nobody got into trouble or just something, like it was very, on a good level celebration. Like,
everybody had fun, but everybody behaved responsibly. It wasn't like somebody got arrested or there was a fight, or because you think Vegas sometimes think partying all night. Like, okay, what happened? But the Excel crowd is what I've seen, and I'd love to get your thoughts. Just thinking of the Excel crowd in the community. It's one of the best communities I've seen. Everybody's competitive. They want to win. And they really want to win. But you can see they support each other first, is what I've seen. They're there to help each other. They'll help anyone. They'll give things. They congratulate. I haven't seen anyone like getting mad at another competitor or that kind of talking trash in a negative way. Have you felt any of that in the competition? It feels like it's just a really tight-knit community, and that speaks volumes to the people and the work you've done.
It's an amazing community. I really have only compliments to the people inside the community. Just one simple example that's probably gonna, show how good the people are. Last year, you might recall that at one point in the semifinals, we have accidentally, eliminated the wrong player, which was Andrew Guy, who eventually became the champion, right? So what happened there was that he scored something like 500 points within the first 5 minutes, but it was only one bonus point that was actually going through due to the connection issues or something. So basically his model, his computer stopped connecting to the main server, and we were not getting his scores. So what happened was we eliminated him, And then in the middle of the round, we see that, okay, he should not have been eliminated. That should be somebody else. And now we're facing this situation when we have only 8 spots, on the stage. And we have the other 8 finalists who are sitting there and waiting to play. And basically what happened there, they all stood up and said like, hey, you need to do something. You need to get Andrew back. That's unfair. Because of course for us, it would be like, okay, say, oh, sorry, Andrew, come on in next year. We're going to pay you a free participation or something. That's not going to happen, right? So they really all stood up for Andrew and said like, no, we need to find the ways to get him back. And we were really thinking on our feet, and that was quite a tough way to set the things up. But we did that, and we got Andrew back on the stage. And the person who scored 4th place in his semifinal, which appeared to be Peter Schall, he was into the one of those game bots next to the stage. And amazingly, Peter did a good job. He scored 4th overall at the end of the day. So he improved his positions quite well. But my main takeaway there is that those guys, they were like, Andrew was one of the main competitors for that, right? So they should be happy to get him kicked out even by a mistake. But no, they basically stood up for him and got him back. And then Andrew beat them all. So.
Yeah, I remember that well from last year. And it was quite a long delay, and you talking to everybody and, coming to an agreement. And I thought that was great to see, because I do very much remember that. If someone's listening to us chat here or listening to these episodes, why should they consider competing in this event? What's the benefit for the average user, right? Because most people aren't going to win a world championship. Most people just aren't going to put in that time or get to that level. Some might, but most, why should they do it? What's the benefit of doing this event?
The main thing that's going to be learning, training in a very fun and exciting way. So you get exposed to exciting problems, unusual problems you're not going to face in real life, and you will need to look for unusual ways to solve them. And you probably score some points, especially if you're a novice player. You're going to score some points. You're going to not be able to solve the whole thing. But then you start looking around and say, like Dearmay did this thing and that thing, and the engine guy did this and that. And the world champion, Michael Jarman, he did it like in another way. And those guys, they all post, maybe except Michael, by the way. They do have their YouTube channels and they show their solutions. So you start learning, and that's an exciting way to learn quite advanced features of Excel, actually. Yeah, and that's going to make you better at work. So why not?
Great point. And I agree with you. I think there's a lot of benefits. I tell people all the time they should compete. And, my goal long term is to free up some time so I can compete more. So I totally understand that. Before we go to a rapid fire that I like to ask every guest, it's kind of a fun section that I'll talk about in a minute. I just want to ask you one more question. What's the process like when you create a case? You help create the case for the finals, which is around World of Warcraft with David 14. What's that process like of creating a case?
So the process when you collaborate with someone from like David, that's quite different from that's rather an exception. So maybe I could like a typical process
talk
there.
through the normal process, not so much collaborating, but what's it typically like when you create a case?
Yeah, I'll talk about the typical one, but then I'll get back to the collaboration, because that's amazing, an amazing experience. So typically you just think of you bump into ideas of what could be a nice, interesting case study based on, something on a daily life, or you spot some interesting game, or you spot some interesting problem that needs to be solved. Really, when I was flying back from Vegas, my flight was Vegas to LA to Copenhagen, then Copenhagen to Riga. And we were on the same flight with Anders from Denmark on the 2 flights. So basically, while we were sitting in LA airport waiting for the next flight to Copenhagen, we discussed his work and what he does and stuff. And basically he came up with a case. He almost wrote at least the case outline right there, in the airport while waiting. So he got inspired like that. I know other people, they got inspired by, I would imagine that there was a case about treasure hunts underwater. So I would imagine the author was inspired by the probably scuba diving or maybe others. Like I got sometimes inspired by, just looking to different Unicode symbols, and thinking of what could be done there with those Unicode symbols. So, and when you have the case idea, you just try to lay it out, create some different, sections. So you start with a solution model first, and then you just try to get this to to the case study. So the main idea is to get the case idea. With David Ford for the World of Warcraft this year, and with Neil Sterfer from EVE Online last year, it was a different story. So there, it was amazing that I'm not a player for any of these games. They're not case writers. They haven't competed in this competition. So essentially, with our roles with David, he was explaining what World of Warcraft is about. I was giving some ideas hey, how could we wrap that in a level or so? And then he was trying to put me in instructions hey, this is how the leveling up works in World of Warcraft. This is how quests work in World of Warcraft. And I was putting that, as a case that's suitable for Excel Esports, and he was getting me the feedback. And when everything was ready, we also needed to confirm that with Blizzard. Excited by the case, so yeah.
Yeah, I can see where that's really different when you have someone kind of explaining the game and you're trying to convert it to a case versus having your own idea and just kind of running with it, so to speak.
It's a much longer time commitment. So essentially, if I can write a case maybe in a day or 2 days, the case for the finals, that typically takes a month or a month of work.
Got it. Yeah, I believe it. That makes sense. All right, so I'm going to let you go here in a few minutes, but we first have what's called our rapid fire section. So these are common questions I'll ask financial modelers. And there's a couple caveats. One, you can't give me that famous answer of it depends. You have to pick yes or no. And then at the end, if there's one or two, you're like, but I want to add a little context, you can elaborate on the end on one or two you're most passionate about. Because some of you probably don't care. Some of you have a really strong opinion, a little bit of everything. So I'll go through them quickly. It's just kind of rapid fire answers. This is all around traditional financial modeling. So not case competition. Think you're building a model for a customer or you're a financial modeler, working in finance. So first one, circular references in models, yes or no?
Yes.
VBA in models, yes or no?
Yes.
Do you prefer a horizontal, so multiple sheets, or vertical, kind of stacking it all in one sheet?
Horizontal.
All right. Dynamic arrays in models, yes or no?
Yes.
Fully dynamic models, so 100% dynamic, where you're using dynamic arrays and lambdas.
It depends. It could be very complicated. Rather, yes, but sometimes it depends. Yeah.
Yeah, that works. External workbook links in models, yes or no?
No.
That's usually the answer I get. Some people are like, no, please no. Named ranges, yes or no?
Rather, no. I'm working without them.
Do you follow a formal standard? So like fast or smart, or do you have an actual formal standard you follow when you're modeling?
FMI standards.
FMI, okay. Yep, love that. I know they have some general standards there. So do you think financial modelers should be learning Python and Excel?
Not obligatory.
Okay. How about Power Query?
Again, not obligatory, because if you're for forecasting, then you don't really need it that much.
Okay. What about Power BI?
Again, for reporting, yes. For forecasting, no.
Makes sense. I could see it on the reporting, but on the forecasting. That makes sense to me. Do you think Excel will ever die?
Well, we're all going to die at one point. So, but probably Excel's going to live longer than most of us.
So not anytime soon, but eventually, we all die.
That's a great answer, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you think AI will build the models for us in the future?
Probably yes.
And then just a couple more. We're just about done. Do you believe financial models are the number one corporate decision-making tool?
Yes, but it should. The best results are obtained when you put basically your intuition on top of the model. So if there is a decision maker who needs to make the decision, you'd rather have the model done, but then you basically have your gut feeling to say, do you really believe those numbers?
Yep, I agree. You need that human portion to it. All right. So which financial statement do you think is most important for financial modelers to understand? P&L, balance sheet, or cash flow statement?
All of them and none of them. The most important is that they actually balance out.
I like that answer. We haven't had that one yet. All right. What's your favorite lookup function in Excel?
Honestly, don't kick me out of this thing, but it's VLOOKUP.
And that's okay. You know, Oz will always say VLOOKUP. He's like, this isn't a religion. This isn't a war. Use what works for you. So if it works and you like it,
That's a very fast formula. That's the fastest of all. It has the least number of components. And if you do that just for some quick calculations, it's all good. I'm not putting VLOOKUP for client models. But if I need to get something quickly done in my model, I'm using VLOOKUP. But please, the community, that's gonna go like a bad style, as if I'm, I don't know, like whatever.
I guarantee we won't kick you out of the community for saying VLOOKUP. I'm not one of those that, what's wrong with you? You use VLOOKUP? Like I said, use what works for you.
That was a confession from my side.
Thank you for that deep confession. I'm going to go put that on LinkedIn right now. I can't believe that Andrew, I'm just kidding.
Exactly. Well, you can do like, hey, a confession by Andrew. Can he really be considered a financial modeler? He needs to, I don't know, like.
Yeah, there might be a poll for that. I'll come up with something fun, and then you can also share it with your Financial Modeling World Cup site. We'll see if we can have some fun with it. So I'll come up with something there. I'm sure it will probably show up in the trailer as well for this episode. But any of those you want to elaborate any more on? Any answers where you're like, hey, I want to provide a little more context?
I think there was a question about dynamic or fully dynamic.
Fully dynamic. So should you be building fully dynamic models?
At one point, like I'm just recalling a scenario from one of the client models. So basically, there was a very complex model, a big one, and they wanted to have like a huge number of scenarios. So basically, the only way to do that was to basically have a number of tabs where you basically store those scenarios. And I did it with macros where I had like close scenario, save scenario, do different things. So that's not really a fully dynamic model, but you basically cut and paste that and say that. Also, there are other models, like for example, if you have a big database, or not as big, but like, like there are companies, we've got quite a few, let's say, loan processing companies who are doing their PD calculations, probability of default calculations based on the whole of portfolio they have. And they're doing that in Excel. And that's basically gonna take, a lot of calculations. So the approach for them is that they only leave the formula in the first row and then just paste values and redo that. So this is not fully, dynamic. But if they did that, the model would be, calculating forever.
Yeah, makes sense. So appreciate that elaboration there. Appreciate you joining me. People, if you want to get a hold of Andrew, you can find him on LinkedIn. There's the Financial Modeling World Cup. You can find the website. You can find the LinkedIn page. I think you're about 100,000 followers now, or maybe even more on your LinkedIn page.
At the World Cup?
On the Financial Modeling World Cup.
It's 120,000 people.
Okay, that's what I remember. You'd passed 100. So a lot of great ways to follow you guys. Any last thoughts or anything you want to tell the audience?
Yeah, sign up for the Financial Modeling World Cup. Sign up for the Microsoft Excel World Championship. Learn, train, compete, and see you in Las Vegas.
Love it. So I'll see you in Vegas next year as well. Thank you for carving out a few minutes, Andrew.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you for having me.
Yep, you're welcome. What a great interview we had with Andrew. I love what he's done. He has turned this event, this competition, into so much more than anyone thought it could be. Live streaming it, getting it on ESPN, hosting it in a HyperX Gaming Arena. It's really amazing to watch the energy and how it comes alive. So we enjoy getting to chat with him. Next, we're going to chat with this year's world champion, Michael Jarman. Fabulous modeler, fabulous person. Had a great interview with him. We had some fun. And yet, it was a surprise he won. As he said, he thought he was competitive. He'd have a chance, but didn't think he'd win it all. So he did an amazing job. He even won a WWF style belt that he was wearing with pride till I think 6 in the morning the next day as he celebrated. All right, so we're going to roll that clip.
All right, so I'm here with Michael, who's originally from the UK, but now lives in Toronto. So why don't we start with having you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so Michael Jarman, I'm the head of model development at Operis. So I sort of oversee sort of building of financial models for generally sort of project finance and infrastructure transactions. And I'm here in Vegas to compete and hopefully win.
So you're not here in Vegas just to lose a bunch of money?
No. I'm actually like, I don't mind sort of like poker with friends, but I think sort of, yeah, like roulette's a fool's game, isn't it? You never win.
FP&A guy here, and as you know, I am very passionate about financial modeling and the Financial Modeling Institute's mission. I have been a huge fan of the FMI for years, and I was super excited when they decided to sponsor the Financial Modelers Corner. I recently completed the Advanced Financial Modeler certification and loved the entire experience. It was top-notch from start to finish. I am a better modeler today for having completed the certification. I strongly believe every modeler needs to demonstrate they are a qualified financial modeler, and one of the best ways to do that is through the FMI's program. Earning the accreditation will demonstrate to your current and future employers that you are serious about financial modeling. What are you waiting for? Visit www.fminstitute.com/podcast and use code PODCAST to save 15% when you enroll in an accreditation today.
So you understand statistics, is what you're telling me.
I don't think you need to understand many statistics to look at. I mean, like also
That valid point. It doesn't take a lot of
roulette wheels here, right? That they absolutely, because like you have zero on most roulette wheels, and then America there's double zero. So with the ones here, there's a triple zero, which I just think is outrageous. So yeah, no, it's a much game.
Totally get it. All right, so you do the modeling for Operis.
Yep.
And you're in Toronto. How did you get involved in these games? Like, what made you think, hey, I'm going to go compete in some Excel competition and put a bunch of stuff in a spreadsheet and hope I win?
Yeah, like it's so when I started Operis, which is just over 10 years ago now, I remember my first ever project was managed by Hilary Smart, who at the time was the reigning world champion.
Yeah, I know she won it once. I'd heard her.
Yeah. So she won it in 2013, and I was like, oh my god, my manager's my world champion at my job. That's intimidating. But yeah, she's very friendly and sort of got talking about it, and got involved with the old model off in 2017, which is sort of when I thought I'd be able to have a good crack at it. Came third that year, which I was quite shocked by, and then won the year after. And then model off went away, and sort of Andrew sort of took over the reins, and now for some reason we're in Las Vegas.
And how do you like having it in Vegas?
I think like the arena and like the production is like so cool. Like the fact that like you run down the hype tunnel, as cliche as it is, and then you're walking on stage. And like the fact it's televised. Like I think that's all incredible. Vegas, I do not like it.
But yeah, I'm not a huge Vegas person, so I tell you, I'd never said. But what was it like last year? I know, so I'm gonna kind of set the stage for those who didn't see it and go watch the video. But we see everybody running down the stage. It's this esports arena. You hear people cheering, big old screens, super nice computers. What was that moment like for you, having competed before, being like, I'm in this arena with people cheering? Like, did you ever imagine that's what it'd be like to go work on a spreadsheet?
No, like when Andrew said he was going to start streaming this sort of thing, I thought he was insane. Like, nobody's going to ever want to watch this, and the fact it's now televised is even more insane. But like, as for doing it, the first round especially, like, luckily the first round really suited me, but the first 5 minutes was just like a blur of like just everything that you thought you knew about spreadsheets, you just sort of forgot because, you're there and the limelight is all quite new for most of us. So I'm hoping this year, there are a lot of returning people, but some of the field will be newer, and maybe, that sort of couple of minutes, if they have the rabbit in the headlights moment, will give me a bit of advantage, because it's going to be a really tough field this year. It's going to be a tough final.
Yeah, there's a big group. Sure, it'll be a challenge. Yeah. So what got you into modeling, life financial modeling? How did that become your career?
It's a pretty stupid story.
That makes for good podcasting. Okay, cool. So the stupider, the better.
So I was going to the last year of my degree. I did economics at Cambridge and had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. I was maybe something to do with finance. So I was going down like the career service at Cambridge, sort of like, literally alphabetical order, applying for jobs. No real idea what I'm doing. My mate was doing this as well, trying into finance, but he was far ahead of me, and he sort of found Operis and was like, this really looks like it's up your street. I was like, oh, it does sound interesting. Like, I'd always liked a spreadsheet. So Applied, turned up, got the job, and yeah, never looked back. I've sort of, it's a bit
Worked at the same place your whole career, right?
Yeah. I'd started there straight from school. I've still been there.
And so UK and then Toronto.
Yeah, so started in the London office and moved over to Toronto about 7 years ago.
Fun. All right, so this is a fun question. I think I asked you this last time, because for those who don't know, this is our second recording, because, well, I'm a professional. We'll leave it at that. What's the most unique thing you've ever built in Excel? Like, kind of funnest model? Not necessarily for work, but...
Yeah, so I don't build that many spreadsheets outside of, I mean, between work and then doing all this competitive stuff, I think that is more than enough spreadsheets for most people.
I would hope so.
I do remember at university, like, building an overly complicated spreadsheet for our FIFA league.
Yes.
FIFA, the video game. And I was really bad at FIFA, and I'd lost so many games, and it was done like points per game because people played a different amount. And I'd lost so much that I had no hope of moving at the bottom. So I made some sort of complicated thing that weighted games further back less, so I could maybe improve and catch up, which didn't really help. But maybe if I spent less time spreadsheeting, I would have
It was worth the try. Yeah, waiting until that going, okay, forget about the past. I'm better now. Unfortunately, everybody else got better throughout the season. Yeah, no. So, worst financial model you've ever seen? This is one question we ask usually all our guests. I know you have a horror story.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some absolute shockers. Or probably, obviously I can't know who it is, but it was...
No names.
It was a model that was built to model the operating costs of some roads, but in like excruciating detail. But all the model really did was sort of, price times quantity, but then retimed every single cash flow about 6 times, all of them slightly differently and incorrectly. And it was just such a nightmare to work. And the classic thing of, we'll have 12 months of workings and an annual summary, then a gap, from 12 months of workings to annual summary, a gap. And at no point the person building it decided that would be a bad idea. So yeah, it's probably the worst model. Seen some, some truly nested, triple nested VLOOKUPs or something, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure she's seen some nasty stuff. I'm sure you've seen some hard-coded, a little bit of everything.
No, yeah, that doesn't even faze me anymore.
Yeah, here, all right, another hard code. I believe it with how many models you've done. All right, so we're going to do the rapid fire section now.
Yep.
You know how this works. We've laid the ground rules. No, it depends. Yep. Yes or no. At the end, you can elaborate. Circular references and models.
No.
VVA.
Yep.
Dynamic arrays.
Yep.
Fully dynamic models.
What's all the timelines?
Yeah, timelines, everything. So if you adjust anything, the whole model updates.
We're not there yet. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it's extremely hard to make work. Yeah. Yep, agreed. All right, will AI build the models for us in the future?
It'll help, but you still need someone to look over them.
So you're saying we're still important? The robots won't do everything for us?
No. Like, they'll help a lot. And like, I think certainly, if you're an entry-level modeler at the moment, like, you need to sort of pick it up pretty quickly, because we're already approaching the gap where like an AI could replicate somebody straight out of school. So, you need to sort of really start picking stuff up quickly, I think.
Yeah. So Excel will never die. We got it. AI. Let's see, which one do I want to ask next? Most important financial statement, P&L, balance sheet, or cash flow?
Cash flow.
And what did you say last time about someone who selected P&L?
Yeah, I mean, so balance sheet, they're fine. No qualms with them. Like, P&L, it just shows you how many accountants you've hired. I think...
So you need to talk to David 14, who said P&L earlier today. I'm just kidding.
Next time you want to, you think the P&L is important, I think just like, if you're hard up for cash and you go to the bank, you need to pay the rent. You go, I haven't got any money, but I can pay all these profits of these revenues I recognized. You let me know how far you get.
Yeah, so one of my favorite episodes I did, the guy was like, I had a manager that always said, it's like, cash is king.
Yep.
He goes, you can't pay your bills with an IOU.
Yep.
Can't pay your vendors with an IOU.
Yep.
You can't run a business with an IOU.
Yeah.
You either have cash or you don't have a business.
Yeah. And I think cash flow tells you how you got there, and balance sheet shows you where you are. So from those two, it's pretty close. It depends what you want to see, but yeah.
Sure, and I did that in that we had a great debate where we had everybody debate it. We had one person P&L, balance sheet, cash flow, and it was fun watching them all kind of argue. So I totally get it. It's interesting. Most people say cash flow. I'm a balance sheet, but totally get that one. All right. So we got a few more to run through. Should financial modelers learn Power Query?
I don't think they need to. I think, I but I know how to open. That's about it. I don't want to sit here and being Luddite and be like, you shouldn't learn something. Obviously,
Oh, of course.
but
But just to be a good model, you think it's something they have to learn? Kind of the answer is no. What about Power BI?
no, I don't think so. Similar sort of reason. I think for me, like I know Power BI can do a lot of really powerful things, but it is a better visualization tool. And for me, like in the modeling I do, I think a correct answer that looks a bit ugly is much better than a wrong answer that looks so pretty it must be right.
Python and Excel.
I don't know Python. I
think that answers that question, at least for now. Are financial models the #1 corporate decision-making tool?
Yeah, I remember that. That was a tough one. I think they can be, yes.
Okay, we'll go with that. Yeah, everybody kind of thinks about it. Some say yes immediately, some say no, but you have some thought. My favorite answer was someone said, no, it's politics.
But that's a very good point. I think if you're making if you're making an important decision, you haven't built a model, that is problematic. But you should consider other things as well.
Agreed. If you're 100% just relying on what the model told you, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you're ignoring the model 100%, that's a bad idea as well.
Yeah, it's the toughest, I think, one of the quickfire ones. I think it depends is like, you should do both.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's why these questions are the way they are, because there's nuance to all of them. Your favorite lookup function?
Used to be index match. I'm getting more XLOOKUP now, although I'm still so like in my muscle memory that, you know, I go to XLOOKUP something, but I start with the array that I'm trying to return rather than the thing I'm trying to look.
Yeah, I took me 6 months with XLOOKUP. Every so often I would throw in a VLOOKUP column and two, but like, wait, wrong formula.
Yeah.
Do you do nested XLOOKUPs? Have you done that?
I think I might have done one once, but
where you do like an index match, you can do the nested XLOOKUP.
Oh yeah, well one of my lambdas, which I probably won't use because it's very unstable. There's one line of the let that I think has an index with 3 other nested indexes and a match in, which I thought was funny.
Oh, fun. Yeah, I can see why it's unstable. Just kidding. All right. If someone wants to get better at Excel, better at financial modeling, what advice would you give them? Let's start with Excel, then we'll do modeling.
Yeah, so I think with Excel itself, I think actually like this competition is a great way of learning.
100% agree. Come to Vegas next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Like get involved in the Road to Las Vegas battles because you can do those online. And I think, you know, even someone like myself, like financial modeling for like pretty complex transactions we do, but it's only like a handful of formulas I haven't really need to use. It's more knowing how to use them. Whereas the sort of diversity of cases we get with the competition, it's like you learn so much more about Excel. I mean, I never have had to, in my job, manipulate a text string particularly to do much.
You mean you'd have to do a bunch of maps and directions for your model?
No, that rarely comes up. So I think, yeah, just the creativity and sort of, you know, seeing what Excel can do and like learning so much, like learning all the different functions, I think that is the best place to start.
Got it. All right. And what about modeling? Best thing to get better at modeling?
So I think with modeling, the thing I always say to our new analysts is, or to anyone who really asks me this question, is it's very easy in this day and age to go online and find a load of tutorials to tell you what to do and how to do something. Or you go on ChatGPT and it says how to do something. I think it's good to try and learn what you shouldn't do. Sometimes you have to learn that by trial and error, but there's principles of best practice and there's general things that you should avoid. And if you'd only take like, oh, you can build this deck with these formulas and doing this, but you don't have like a strong underlying principle how you should approach these things and things that traps to avoid, where if you fall into them, you're just going to have a terrible time. That is where I think people who are new to modeling, you know, new analysts in a bank, that's where they're staying up till 2 a.m. because they've no idea what they're doing and they've not had a chance to really think about what they're doing and how they're going to approach the problem.
All right, so who are you betting on winning tonight?
Well, yeah, I mean, do I think I'm a lock to win? Absolutely not. Do I think I'm a favorite to win? Absolutely not. Do I think I could win? Yeah, absolutely. And
You won before. He came in second last year. Yeah,
I got a chance, but we'll see. I'm very hopeful.
Good luck. I hope it goes well for you. If someone wants to learn more about you, maybe get in touch. I think you mentioned Operis, the website, right? You go out there and find your bio and email you from there.
Operis website has my bio on, and in general, sort of And if you message me on LinkedIn, I would not claim to be the most active LinkedIn person, but I will eventually respond. Yeah, probably LinkedIn all day. Yeah, if it's a professional thing, like you need a model building film to me through the Operis website.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. And good luck tonight. Hope to see you holding a trophy or what was last year? A big ribbon belt?
Yeah, no, I want to win the belt. That's why I want to win. I want the belt.
All right. Well, good luck getting the belt.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Great clip from our world champion. He had no idea that he was going to win that night when we interviewed that. Great guest, great person. Next up, we have Giles Male. As I mentioned, I did the road trip with him. He was a commentator with Oz for the event. Got asked to do that last minute, and we talk about that. Talk a little bit about our road trip. Hope you enjoy this clip. Giles is a great guy. He is the self-proclaimed most humble MVP in the world. So we're going to go ahead and roll his clip next.
Mr. Humble MVP.
Yes.
Giles Male. You announced the finals tonight. What was it like?
Crazy. I only knew I was doing it a few days ago. John Akaporo got sick, so I got asked to step in, which, it would have been nice to do it under different circumstances, not
Sure.
for that.
You hate that a friend is sick.
Yeah, yeah, but it was great. It was bonkers, but it was great. It was really good fun.
So tell people what this event is like. If they've never been to something like this, what was it like? This is your first time. Was it bigger than you expected? Is it what you expected? What was the experience like?
But this sounds really cheesy, but it is about the people. So there's lots of training going on. You've got the main event, which has been amazing. But for me personally, I've met lots of people over the last few days that I've been talking to for years, but not met. And us, like we did our big road trip. We never met in person before. That's been the biggest thing for me. And the craziness of tonight, that was, bear in mind, this is an XL competition. That was electric in there.
Isn't it crazy to think you had 1,000 people in there, people screaming, cheering?
Bonkers.
And we're sitting there playing with the spreadsheet.
Yeah. But, I think for everybody, Michael Jarman said it at the end with his speech, we're all XL nerds, and we probably don't find ourselves surrounded with many people like us in our normal lives. And now you're in a room with 1,000 people who are all just as geeky as us. So, yeah, it's been insane.
So what was the hardest part about announcing? Like you're announcing an event where you got 12 people up on stage, sometimes more, depending on which round it is. We're switching screen to screen. What is that like? What's the hardest part?
Well, so we were co-commentating, so there's a whole production team here. We're in a proper esports.
Sure.
So, our job is to talk about what people are doing, which is surprisingly difficult, or maybe not as surprising when they're just flicking across a spreadsheet. So, I don't know, I've never done anything quite like that before, so I was just getting used to it. In the end, we just had fun. So, I was with Oz. Oz is crazy. Oz is Oz. So, hopefully we bounced off each other.
Yeah, Oz is great. Yeah, he's crazy. Loved his dancing. And so what would you tell people who are listening to the podcast and they're like, I want to learn more about this? What would you tell them?
I mean, for a start, you can watch lots of the kind of prior finals and things like that on the FMWC YouTube page. So I'd look there. Dim, Early, and I did a free boot camp specifically to help people who want to get into the esports, XL esports. So if you look at Dim Early's YouTube page, search for our boot camp, and it's specifically television format.
So Dim now has 3 world championships, the FMWC twice, and the model off. Jarman now has 2.
It's really hard to put into perspective how good these men and women are here. I think I'm good at XL, and I can't get near these guys. It is a different level, and Dim is right at the top of that camp.
So someone asked me, he goes, do you think if I practice 8 hours a day for the next year, I could win this? I said no.
No, to be honest, if you practiced 8 hours a day for a year, you could probably get on the stage.
That's what I said. I think you could probably get on the stage.
Yeah, I just think that there are an elite group of these players that are on another level. They've just got every part of the package that you need. But also, they're lovely people. Like you can go and chat to Dim and Andrew and Michael. They're just another part of the community.
No, I totally agree. This is a lot of esports community is toxic.
Yeah.
Just watching those people, they're friends first. They're competitors, but I can guarantee you, every one of them would do something for somebody and risk losing this event to help out a friend. And that's what makes the community amazing.
Dim and others have been doing it. The Lambda topic is a big one. Dim has been not just sharing his lambdas, but putting together videos that help other people get better at them. He's helping every other potential capacitor get better. He doesn't have to do that, and he might be sat there now winning the competition year after this. So yeah, everybody in the community is real.
All right, so how did you get here to Vegas? I heard you had an epic road trip, a hangover scene, all of it a knife. Tell the audience a little bit about this.
Met you so I flew to Salt Lake City, met you. We made our own flour, which was epic. Had some homemade waffles.
Did you get to see some fluffy cows?
Fluffy cows?
The bison, fluffy cows.
Yeah, so you spent a whole day taking me around Salt Lake, which was wicked. Oz joined us, and we did a 9-hour road trip from Salt Lake to Vegas. It will be an upcoming episode of Excel on the Road. And it's really like a nice story between what you're doing and I'm doing, where my episode is going to take us from Salt Lake to Vegas, and then you're going to follow on all the action from Vegas, which is wicked.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So it'll be fun to we'll tell people, put a trailer in there to hey, go watch a little bit more of the next event. And I'll tell people you want to see the pre-knifing.
How do we
go watch?
We'll explain the knifing.
You'll have to watch Giles' video to understand the knifing. That's a tease right there.
That is a tease.
All right. Anything else you want to say before I let you go to have a few more beers and party for the night?
No, just come. If you're interested in Excel and competitive Excel, just take part. And if you can get to Vegas on any year, it's worth it. Like, this is just a community of people that will sit down and talk to anyone. So try and get here if you can and compete.
All right. Well, thank you, Giles. I'll let you go have fun.
You're very nice, bro.
All right. Thanks.
Hope you enjoyed that clip with Giles as much as I did. Great character, a lot of fun, fabulous modeler. Next up, we have a very brief clip. It's just 1.5 minutes with Jacqueline Kennedy and Danielle Stein Fairhurst, two people who attended the event. One competed, one presented. And we just talked for a brief minute about what we're seeing in the event, what it's like as it's going on, and we're sitting in the HyperX Arena. So you have a lot of noise in the background, but hopefully this gives you an appreciation for how electric and fun this environment is. All right, we're going to go ahead and roll that clip.
Jack, who's gonna win?
My money's on Benny Weber.
On Benny.
Yeah.
How's he doing?
I mean, he's ranking first at the moment, but it is getting close. There's a few people kind of,
And why you think Benny? Other than the fact he's in first.
I mean, his scores have been phenomenal in the build-up to this. He's, I think, the only one that's qualified that is still in the main Microsoft Excel World Championship. And he is just a genuinely nice guy. He's 2 doors down from me in the hotel. We've been walking down together in the mornings, and he's just such a chill guy.
Nice, I like it.
Did you see your name on the screen?
I did see my name. I got a picture. Was your name on the screen, Danielle?
Yes, it was, and I got a picture too.
You got a picture as well?
I did. Yeah.
Who do you think is going to win?
No, I don't know, but this, I can't imagine what they must be thinking right now. Being up there with the noise and the excitement, I just think it's...
Yeah, it has to be a little intimidating.
Yeah, and having this knockout every 5 minutes must just really add to the stress of, I think
especially if you're closer to the bottom, right? If you're up at the top, it's not as much stress.
Yeah, and just having like that extra pressure of you've got to kind of keep up. Yeah, I can't imagine what they must be thinking right now.
Oh, look at that.
Really excited for our next guest. Hope you enjoyed that brief clip there. Next up, I have about a 10-minute interview with Klinsmann Langhanz. Love Klinsmann. Great guy. We like to call him Mr. Manual because he collects Excel manuals, spreadsheet manual, VisiCalc, Lotus 123, Quattro Pro, whatever he can get his hands on. He studied them to be a better trainer. He comes to us from Brazil. He created one of the cases that had one of the funniest moments in the event when a guy by the name of Jacob, who came in third, tilted his head sideways because he had tilted the grid in Excel for the case. So everything was kind of off center in the way it was created. You had to try to solve it. So it's kind of a funny moment. We'll go ahead and roll that clip. Great guy, super smart, shares a lot of really good thoughts about networking, about getting better in Excel. And again, his thoughts on rapid fire. So here we go. We're going to roll the clip.
I have here Klinsmann with me from Brazil. He's what I call Mr. Manual. That's going to be my nickname.
Okay, I'll use.
So why don't we start with a little fun there? Why did I call you Mr. Manual?
I mean, you're calling me Mr. Manual because I have this strange, I don't know the word in English, but I collect like vintage electronic spreadsheet manuals since the VisiCalc 1979. And I think it's because of that.
Yes, exactly. So you collect manuals. So tell me, 1979, I heard you built a... So let's start with, what are you doing here? Tell us about that. Why are you here in Vegas with me?
Okay, I'm here in Vegas because I was invited to be a speaker to talk to the younger generation how to prepare for the championship. I was talking about, of course, tech stuff like lambdas and stuff, but also like networking, problem-solving capabilities, personal branding. And I'm here as well because I was a competitor. And I also run the local chapter of this championship in Brazil, the FMWC Brasil. I'm the founder of it, so lots of stuff.
Perfect. So you're founder of FMWC, you run your own training business.
Yeah, of course.
So how did you get into Excel? I think you came from an engineering background, right? Yeah. Civil engineer. So tell us a little bit about how you got into modeling in Excel.
Okay, so I'm a civil engineer, and because of that, I worked on construction companies. But I wasn't the construction side guy. I was always the back office guy, and I got hired because I knew Excel back in the day, like 2014. I was still in my graduation, and I was into the quality department to check the goals of the departments, of each construction, how are they on schedule. And as soon as the people in the company realized that I was really good at Excel in comparison to the colleagues, they moved me to the real estate department. So there, my knowledge on Excel was applied to business, like buying lands, talking to investors, like soccer players, like landowners, and that's when it started.
Awesome. So that's how it started. And so I know you started FMWC in Brazil, so people can compete on these cases, right? These Excel, esports, and financial modeling cases. How did that come about? How did you end up doing that in Brazil, and why did you do it?
Okay, first thing, last year, I was here in Vegas, World Finals, and I was the only Brazilian here last year. So I got a lot of attention from the media, like newspapers, TV shows got to my house, and Andrew Grigolyunovich, like the CEO of the World Championship, he got interested into that, and I was interested also in bringing the format to Brazil. So it was like me and him had this convergent thought about that, and we had a talk here in Vegas. We signed a deal here in Vegas in a bar talking about that. So that's how we started, to bring the format to Brazil so we could like show people that you can learn in a fun way. The community is awesome, very helpful. I mean, different from other esports, like this is Excel esports, but some other esports that have this very toxic community. It's not.
Yes, I've heard about that.
Yeah, in Excel, it's not about that. I mean, you have the world champions showing their lambdas, their formulas, how they solve things for free on YouTube. So,
well, I'll give an example. So last year as I was recording, I tried to get Andrew and a couple others. I'm like, come on, talk some, trash.
Yeah.
And none of them could do it, even just fake, because they're just all so nice. It's like, nope.
Yeah.
We're here and so helpful.
Yeah.
An example, y'all know DM, he's sharing his cases all the time, and others. They share every case on YouTube and what they're doing. So it's really a community about learning.
Yeah.
Even though we have very competitive people, and that's what I love. They put learning above, competition.
Perfect. Yeah.
Even though they want to win. It's fabulous to watch.
Yeah. It's great to be part of that because you can feel that here, like every single person here, like they're sharing their like talking about their problems, and we were trying to solve some problem from this random girl over here. So
yeah, on the way here, where we're getting ready to re-record, because the first time I recorded this, I didn't have sound on. Speaking of problems, I'll admit that. Everybody was like, wait, you do podcasting for a living and you don't know how to turn your sound on? But anyway, some girls asked us, can I do this? And we're like, well, you can, but it's going to be messy. It's not really going to work what you want. And it's probably a simple redesign the spreadsheet. I'm sure if we saw it, that's what it is.
That's why I asked, do you have a picture?
Yeah, exactly. That's why we both like, well, if you message us, we could actually look at the file.
Yeah.
I bet in 10 minutes we could tell you, okay, if you make this change, it will work.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Because you can almost do anything you want. It's just of how, it's all, so often it's design.
Yeah.
It's amazing how critical that is. We've all seen those hideous models where you're just like,
yeah,
who built what?
You did that?
So you talk to the college kids a lot about networking.
Yeah.
Talk about how doing this has opened up opportunities to network. You got to meet Dan Bricklin.
Yeah.
who, for all those who don't know, founder of VisiCalc, which is now 45 years old, right?
October
Makes me,
28th, yeah.
yeah, 1979.
Yeah.
So tell a little bit about networking and maybe the Dan story real quick for it.
Okay, so I'm into the case designing thing as I run the local chapter in Brazil, and I'm also into this vintage collection thing, and like mixing both worlds. I thought of, well, VisiCalc turned 45 this year. It would be nice if I could like develop a promo case, like showing what it was look like back in the day, what were the quirks of the software. So I had this idea, but I wouldn't like just to create a case and like publish it. I would like to like receive the blessing of the creators. So I thought, well, it would be interesting if I could show that to Dan Bricklin and to also Bob Frankston, the both creators of VisiCalc. And I had that idea in June this year, and I could email Dan Bricklin. He answered me, but after that we kind of lost contact. And I thought, wow, about networking, right? I did this post on LinkedIn, and I thought, people, if you can share it, like it, comment it, so we can like reach more people. You did that, and I mean, I got to Dan Bricklin again, and we had this very cool chat session. It would have been like 30 minutes, but it ended up being 70 minutes. He was so excited and enthusiastic that I was, not just me, but the vintage school again, and that he heard of the Microsoft Excel World Championship. So I explained to him how did it work. So that's unbelievable, unthinkable. So
crazy.
If it wasn't the people I got to meet here last year and this year, with the community, that wouldn't have been possible.
Yep, and tell us what happened on your plane ride over.
Oh yeah, about the networking. So I'm from Brazil, so I flew here to the US, and in the customs, while I was waiting at the customs line, I got to meet the Brazil voice actor for Jackie Chan. Is the same guy, Jackie Chan, SpongeBob SquarePants, Goku or Kakarot from Dragon Ball, Pain from Naruto. So this guy is this living legend. His voice is amazing, and he's a very well-known person in Brazil. And if it wasn't for the Microsoft Excel World Championship, I wouldn't have been here, and I wouldn't have met him in the line. So, I mean, the unthinkable may happen. That was the sentence on my slide when I showed that to the guys here. And I mean, endless possibilities. Whenever you can. I mean, we that use Excel, or every person into technology, they tend to be like introverts. They prefer to talk to their screens than to the person besides them. So if I could give you a suggestion or an advice, is try to reach out to some people. If you are an introvert, send a message on LinkedIn, comment on some YouTube videos. Try to get closer to people. That will open doors and possibilities for you. I mean, I said that to the younger generation here, and I think you should do that. You won't regret. Yeah.
Totally agree. Thank you for that. We're going to do rapid fire here real quick, and then we're going to head back to the arena.
Yeah.
All right, so you know how this works. So no day, it depends, yes or no. We'll go through them quickly, you can elaborate at the end. Circular references in financial models.
No.
VBA in financial models.
Yes.
External workbook links.
No.
Password protection.
Yes.
Dynamic arrays.
Yes.
Fully dynamic, like three-statement financial models.
No.
All right. So will Excel ever die?
No.
Will AI build the models for us?
Yeah.
All right. Should financial modelers learn Power Query?
Yes.
Power BI?
Yes.
Python in Excel?
No.
All right, there we go. Are corporate models, financial models, the number one decision-making tool?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what's your lookup function of choice?
Lookup function of choice.
Like VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP?
Yeah, I mean, index.
Index match or index X match?
Index X match.
All right. We could tell you're a dynamic arrays guy.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for joining me. Loved it. Let's head over to the arena.
Thank you very much.
Hope you enjoyed that episode. We had several different guests on: Andrew, Giles, Jackie, Danielle, Michael Jarman, Klinsmann, and they were all fabulous. Loved having them on this episode and visiting with them in Vegas. Hope to see you next year at the Financial Modeling World Cup. Please come join us. Get some great training, get better at Excel, network, and be with nerds like me. Let's embrace it. If you're listening to the show, you're probably a financial modeling nerd. So come have some fun. And thanks for listening to this episode. Financial Modeler's Corner was brought to you by the Financial Modeling Institute. This year, I completed the Advanced Financial Modeler certification, and it made me a better financial modeler. What are you waiting for? Visit FMI at www.fminstitute.com/podcast and use code podcast to save 15% when you enroll in one of the accreditations today.